First, we gotta load it up. I only have one holder up.
In the realm of industry's future, two apprentices embark on a journey. Their path to becoming fabricators of Industry 4.0 unfolds. This is their story.
So GenFlex has tasked us here at Gakuto Club with updating their educational robot carts from an aluminum extrusion to a steel cut frame with hopes that we can reduce our costs while increasing the capabilities of these carts. So with that being said, I'm going to show you how easy that is. All right, let's chop some tubes. First things first, gotta load it up here, put our holders up, especially if you're a little crazy like me and you wanna load it by yourself. We're gonna clamp it into the chuck here. And we're gonna use our controls here. Bring our tube into the cutting area. And once we get through that last chuck here, close it up. And from here, we're going to calibrate our tool holders, or our part holder rather. So you just want it so it's supporting your part and it's not flexing it too much. Looks good to me. Save those settings there. And here it's telling me I can get 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 pieces out of this roughly 20-foot tube here. And on this program, it's going to be using nitrogen and oxygen on this dual nozzle cutter here. And now, before we cut, we're going to calibrate it. And if I had been doing this material all day, I wouldn't need to calibrate it. Since this is my first time cutting this tube today, we're going to have to do some calibrations. It's important that you're able to see this red dot here in order to do any calibration or finding the center on your part. So first things first, we'll calibrate it. And before I do anything, I'm going to bring the actual nozzle down to the part. About an inch or so off of the part. And then from there, we'll calibrate it, make sure that these numbers match what our program's saying. And they do. Actually, there we go. All right. The final step is just to find the center of our part. Again, make sure our numbers here match what our program is saying. All right, so one little feature I want to show you guys before I start the cut here. These little red dots here. On these green lines is the indication of the cut. The red dot there is that it's going to find the center before it makes each cut And that's just a good way, especially when you're cutting a lot of pieces, just to have good consistency throughout each part. So with that being said, if I leave this red light on before I cut, it's not actually going to cut. It's a little safety feature, so we're going to turn that off. Close our door here. And we're good to go. Now that it's done cutting, one of the things that we like to look at is the actual cut itself. You want to look for any discoloration or anything that looks abnormal, especially on your radius here on the edges, since the metal gets like a little bit thicker and harder to cut through. And if there are any issues, just go right in here into your layers. And that's where you can change all of your different cutting parameters. And yeah, that's about it. So since the beginning of this journey, I've learned a plethora of different skills, from welding to metalworking, working with the press brake, the laser tube cutter. And all those skills have been very, very resourceful for me.
What I've learned since my journey started is a lot of hand welding skills that I didn't have before, like MIG welding and TIG welding, using the laser welders. Those are pretty vital moving forward in the manufacturing business. I've also learned how to write program for the robotics arms to be doing individual tasks such as welding jobs, just movement of objects, placing objects in certain locations specifically.
But I think what the most important skill that I've acquired throughout this whole journey is the importance of fixturing and setting up your equipment properly before actually running anything. Because when it comes to automated equipment, the machines themselves are really doing the work for you. But the machine doesn't know if the work is ready or not. And that's the most important thing when you're running this equipment, is that you have everything locked down in place, the fixturing's correct, etc. So I would say that's the most important thing for sure.
I've also learned how to use our laser cutter for the tubes. That's also pretty important for the future of the industry, I believe.
If I could give advice to anybody aspiring to become a professional fabricator and get into this industry, especially if they choose to go through our apprenticeship program here, is that this field, it isn't for everybody, but it is for anybody. And what I mean by that is, if you have a willingness to learn, you have a drive, you get in what you put in, I'd say go for it.
In the realm of industry's future, two apprentices set out on a journey from robot basics to robotic arc welding to laser welding and laser tube cutting. Their pursuit to become fabricators of Industry 4.0 continues with each and every challenge, promising endless opportunities ahead.